Welcome to another edition of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator at the School of Journalism and Mass Communications at KU.
Hello, we are back for another episode of Cheers to Careers. I'm Steve Ridinghouse, the Career Outreach Coordinator for the KU School of Journalism and Mass Communications. This is episode 109 and our first trip to Alaska. It's a virtual trip. I wish I was there physically. We are meeting today with Chloe Anderson, KU alum. She is the Communications Specialist at Sealaska Heritage Institute in Juneau. Welcome, Chloe.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
So, Chloe, when I knew we were going to connect, I did a little email dig and I found your first resume. It's hard to believe you've been out of school for over just going on 4 years. You've been busy. What have you been up to since you graduated from KU?
Yeah, so right after I graduated, I moved out to Colorado and I spent a year freelancing out there. So I was primarily working with Colorado Newsline, which is a state's newsroom affiliate. Kansas Reflector is a sister newsroom. And I'd say the Colorado Sun, those were the two that I was most primarily working with. So I was just running all over the state and taking photos, writing articles. But while I was there, one of the photographers at the Colorado Sun, he started telling me about this job in Alaska. And it was a seasonal position at a company called Gas Snow Guiding. And he said, you just go out, you take photos of whales all day, you get to teach people all about the ecosystems here, and you get to live in this beautiful area. And he basically said, you have to do this. If you don't do this right now, you're never going to. And I thought, well, there's probably no better time for me to go and give it a shot. So I did, and I fully expected to go back to Boulder. I actually had a job lined up in Boulder for when I got back, but yeah, I fell in love with Juneau, and I'm still in Southeast Alaska today.
And I know when you met with me, in my office, I think it was about the semester before you graduated, I know you always had aspirations of combining photography, nature, and it seems like you've been doing what you've wanted to do for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was at Gas Snow for 2 summers, and then I started working for the Juneau Empire back in October. So I've been working for newspapers for the past 4 months, but the newspaper that I work for is owned by a Carpenter Media Group, which is just not an excellent organization. So I didn't really have much of a work-life balance. I was basically just in the office all the time. And yeah, that's what I kind of thought that I always wanted to do. I thought I was going to be a journalist for the rest of my life, and it just isn't really what I expected it to be. So I'm really looking forward to this communication specialist position at Sealaska. My first day is March 2nd, but I'll have a lot more room for creative freedom there. I'll be doing their social media, photographing, videographing, doing a little bit of kind of every different type of media creation that you can think of. So I'm very excited for that.
Now, is that an organization that recruited you, or did you find them, or did you have a connection there?
Yeah, so it was actually pretty crazy the way that it worked out. My coworker at the Empire, she received another job offer, and it was just the two of us at the paper. And we both always kind of joked, if either one of us gets another job, the other one is just going to be super cooked because it was just so bad for so long. So yeah, she told me that she was leaving on a Wednesday at the beginning of the month, and I just Googled communications jobs in Juneau. And that job popped up, and I was like, wow, this looks like it was meant for me. So I applied on a Thursday. I interviewed on a Tuesday, and then they got back to me with a job offer the following Thursday. So yeah, my last day here at the newspaper is on Thursday. Then I'm going to Hawaii for a week, and then yeah, I start back up in March.
And I think you're going to be taking some photos of whales in Hawaii. Is that correct?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I was looking at the Heritage Institute website. It looks like you're going to be doing a lot with scientific and public policy research. Is that kind of a big part of that mission?
Yeah, exactly. So Sealaska is one of, I believe it's 13 Native corporations that were settled under ANCSA, the Alaska the Alaska Native Settlements Claims Act back in I believe it was the 70s. But yeah, they do a lot. Their ultimate goal is ocean health, but just really preserving the ecosystems and protecting the area from really harmful development by kind of focusing on the cultures that have been here for thousands and thousands of years. So they do a lot of very important cultural work.
And a while ago, you mentioned that 2-word phrase that I'm a big believer in, that creative freedom. Can you talk a little bit about how important that is in a communications type role? I mean, just where you have a lot of trust built in. I imagine you've kind of, the last 3 years, you really realized how important that is in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of having the autonomy to be able to tell stories in a way that does every side of like every person in that story justice and kind of casts them in a fair light, but also having the creative freedom to say like this is inherently wrong and this thing is inherently good. Um, yeah, I think that's like a very important part of being able to be a creative person. And you don't always get that in journalism. Like you just have to be completely unbiased. Where now in this role, I'll be able to kind of have more autonomy to fight for the things that I really believe in and like work towards sustaining the environment and preserving like cultural history that's been here for again about 10,000 years at least.
And you mentioned you're going to be doing a lot with social media. Have you been doing that already? I mean, have you been doing a lot of social media with your previous roles?
Yeah, so right now I basically just post the stories that I write to the Juneau Empire's Facebook and Instagram platforms. And then I was doing that for the newspaper that I was working for remotely before I came to the Empire as well. So I have a little bit of experience. I've never created content specifically for social media before. It's always been like I create content for a newspaper and then I upload that content to social media. So this will be like a new thing, but I'm really looking forward to it. I did actually major in film and media production when I went to KU, and then I got a minor in journalism. And I've never used that film degree ever. So this will be a fun way to kind of utilize that.
What are some of your KU memories? I mean, I was looking at your resume. I mean, you did a lot with the Daily Kansan as a associate multimedia editor. You're also a news correspondent. It seemed like you were trying to be that well-rounded journalist when you were at KU.
Yeah. So let's see. I started working for the Kansan my third to last semester. So I guess the second semester, I don't know. It's all like so weird because, when I say my freshman year, that was actually my junior year because I came in with all those credits. But basically, my second full year at KU, I started working for the Kansan. So I started off as a photographer, and then I kind of wanted to get some writing experience. So I started writing stories for them. And then, yeah, from there, I started working for the Lawrence Times, and I was freelancing for the Kansas Reflector every once in a while as well. And then, let's see, I was the multimedia editor for my last semester. And yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was really fun. Like I had a really good time. And the Kansan just always had such a solid staff, and it was really great to just be able to meet so many of those incredibly talented people. And yeah, I still follow a lot of them on Instagram and LinkedIn, and they're all doing really great stuff.
And I was doing the math. I think you arrived KU, I want to say like the was it fall of 20? Does that sound right?
Yeah, COVID.
And that, yeah, I was going to say that was kind of a crazy time to be, well, just life in general, but the whole college. I mean, what are your memories? Did you have in-person classes, or did you have to do that remote? Have to wear a mask? You probably had to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I had one in-person class every other week, and we did have to wear a mask to that. And yeah, I remember just being so disappointed that that was my college experience. And yeah, I mean, I understood why it was so important to mask and keep social distance and everything, but I was like, man, I want to meet people. I want to go play outside. And like, that's just not really going to be the experience that I have. But luckily, my last 3 semesters, things kind of went back to normal. So yeah, I was able to go to in-person classes. And that's where I think like my career kind of kickstarted because I was able to work for all of these different newspapers and really become pretty well-rounded, I'd say.
What kind of kept you motivated, during that first semester or two at KU before things kind of settled down? I mean, how did you kind of keep that positive attitude?
I just went rock climbing. Like,
What time?
yeah. I mean, really, like those are my biggest memories from my time at KU is I was super involved with the KU Rock Climbing Club. So yeah, basically every weekend that we could, like we were going out to Arkansas or Missouri or even like Oklahoma, um, and just doing like these weekend trips. And then for spring break, we would try to go out to like Utah or Nevada and do like a really long trip. But that was kind of the thing that kept me sane when I was like working really, really hard every single day. It was like, okay, like this kind of sucks right now. Like this might be a 14-hour long day, but I get to go rock climbing in Arkansas this weekend. And then of course my big goal was like, I need to live somewhere that allows me to do these things more frequently than just like on a weekend type of basis.
Yep, that's well said. You mentioned the Lawrence Times. What was that experience like? Was it pretty similar to what you did at the Daily Kansan, or did you feel like that was kind of a really very professional opportunity for you?
It was wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I still subscribe to the Times, and that team is just, I love everything that they do. They put out such incredible content. But yeah, I basically reached out to Mackenzie Clark, the editor and the owner and the founder, and I said, hey, this is who I am. I write, I take photos. I would love to be able to do those things for you. And she said, great. We are so desperate for people. So yeah, I started working for them. That would have been the fall of 22, I think. And yeah, it was just an excellent experience. I mean, again, at that time, it was a very small staff. I know they've grown quite a bit since I've been there. So I was able to write and take photos, shoot a little bit of video, like do a little bit of everything and become even more well-rounded than I was at that point.
Now, Chloe, were you one that always kind of grew up with a camera in your hand? Were you that type, or was that a late development in your interest?
No, that came first. So I was basically like throughout high school, I was just working like, I was going to college and I still had high school courses, but I was also lifeguarding. And like that again, I was doing all of that because I just wanted to be able to like kind of leave Kansas as quickly as possible and like go live somewhere where I could just go rock climbing all the time. So yeah, like it was through rock climbing that I was going to all these cool places and like traveling to all these different parts of the country. And it was like, wow, this is really cool, but it's all for me and I want to be able to share it somehow. So that's how I started photography. That's how I started writing. And yeah, I'd say the Kansan and the Lawrence Times kind of allowed me to do both of those on a more professional level.
And so nature photography, is that kind of your niche? I mean, you've been at some great places for nature photography, or
Yeah.
you feel like you can do a little bit of everything?
Yeah, it's changed so much. Like when I first started with photography, I actually went to school for film because I thought I wanted to be a high angle cinematographer because I just loved like being up on a mountain and like taking photos of somebody from up above while they were like climbing. And I thought, oh, that'd be cool if I could just do that all the time. But I have a really difficult time sitting still. And one of my friends was a high angle cinematographer. And he basically said, like, that's one of those jobs that sounds really cool. But at the end of the day, what you're doing is like sitting in a harness and you're just holding a camera and you're not actually climbing. And I was like, oh, okay, like that sounds kind of boring. I want to be like on the ground, able to move around and get photos. And so from there, it's just kind of this natural evolution toward photojournalism. And then when I was guiding up here, it was more nature, especially wildlife. I've done a lot of wildlife photography. And now I really just want to be able to have the capacity to shoot what I want when I want, whether that's nature, wildlife, people, events. Yeah, a little bit of everything really. But I think like wildlife photography has been something that I never really thought I'd be that interested in. But living here, it's like there's bears and killer whales and like I mean, there's just so many animals everywhere. It's hard not to be really drawn to that.
So have you had a chance to pretty much explore the entire state of Alaska, or have you been pretty much in that general area the whole time?
Yeah, I mean, it's tricky to get around here. Juneau is functionally an island, so you can't just drive away. So you have to either fly or take a boat, which we have a ferry system that's pretty great for getting around. But yeah, I've spent a decent bit of time up in the interior. I actually almost got attacked by a brown bear when I was in Denali last summer, but I didn't, so that was fine. But yeah, like I've spent so much time on boats, like just being able to work on boats last summer and the summer before that. Yeah, I've seen lots of whales and lots of killer whales and sea lions and seals and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely there's a lot of Alaska to see. So I feel like I've checked out a good portion of like southeast and then like the lower interior. But yeah, I'm planning to go to Ukjuavik at some point this summer because there's pretty great polar bear viewing opportunities there. So really looking forward to that.
Have you had a chance to do any like aerial photography? I mean, like shoot photos from a plane or anything like that?
Kind of. It's tricky because both of the times I've been in a helicopter, you're trying to take photos through glass and it just ends up not looking that great. But yeah, let's see. My first summer out here, I flew up to the Mendenhall Glacier, which is um, right over there. I mean, the glacier itself, like the physical ice, is probably about 3 miles away from where I'm sitting right now, but my office is about a mile away from that recreational area. So yeah, I flew up there, but that's like it's pretty tricky. The glacier is just so massive that if you were to take a photo from it from above, it would just, you would just see a bunch of crevasses rather than the glacier itself. Um, And then again, my first summer out here, I flew out to Pat Creek on Admiralty Island, which has one of the highest concentrations of brown bears of anywhere in the world. But it was pretty cloudy that day, so the opportunities for photography were rather limited. But that's definitely on my bucket list.
Do you ever have any family or friends come out and visit you?
Yeah. So I'm really lucky that my whole family, when I told them like, hey, I'm gonna move up to Alaska for a couple of months, they were all just kind of like, oh, okay,
We'll be there.
that's awesome. Like, yeah, can we come visit? And I was like, yeah, of course. So yeah, both sets of my grandparents have been up here. My mom and her boyfriend have come to visit. I've had a couple of friends come up, and then one of my friends is coming up for spring break too. So yeah, people have been up here. They all kind of understand why it's got me too, and like why I have no plans of leaving anytime soon. It's a special place.
Well, before we move on to Fast Five, one last question. What advice do you have, to KU students that are interested to do what you're doing right now? What should they be prepared to do?
I would say just say yes to everything. I mean, within reason, obviously, but if somebody is telling you about this incredible job that they had in Alaska and they say, "Yeah, I'm still in touch with the hiring manager. Do you want me to connect you?" Like, say yes. And then, plan out your route to Alaska and drive there if that's what you want to do. Just don't be afraid to like take advantage of these really incredible opportunities that you're only going to have when you're young because there's so much growth on the other side of your comfort zone. So like get out of it, do the stuff that you're kind of scared to do because you're just going to grow so much. And like the more things that you do that you're kind of freaked out about, the easier it's going to get for you to just kind of take advantage of those opportunities and be willing to say yes to things that feel really scary at first.
No, well said. Yeah, I love that saying yes to everything and getting out of the comfort zone. Yeah, I think that's definitely important early in the career. Okay, so time for Fast Five. What do you feel is like the top skill you still use today that you developed at KU, either through the journalism school or through like your film and media classes? Is there that one skill that you rely on over and over?
That's a good question. I would say having the ability to listen, but also having the ability to like have a really good conversation with somebody. So I mean, at the basis of it, that's what storytelling is, it's finding that interesting story and then figuring out how you want to convey it to audiences. And there was one film professor, especially, who said, you really want to just knock them off their feet. You don't want to ask the same questions over and over when you're in an interview. Like, you want them to think a little bit harder than they usually have to. That way you can like kind of get under the surface and like really connect with your interview subject.
Definitely. So number two, you mentioned rock climbing. What's been your most challenging climb?
There have been a couple. I think the most challenging one was probably I actually don't climb very much anymore because I had to get rescued off of a desert tower in Utah a couple of years ago, and that just kind of like ruined rock climbing for me for a little bit. So now I mainly hike and bike and swim and yeah. But I think the most challenging physically one was it's a mountain called Pingora in the Wind River Range. So it's about 1,200 feet. It's not actually rated that difficult. It's just like old and it's windswept granite and there's just no gear on the entire thing. Like you're try climbing the whole way up. So you have to place your own gear essentially. Yeah, and I just had never done that style of climbing before where you're essentially just smearing on like these horrific, like teeny tiny little footholds for 1,200 feet after, a 10-mile approach that started at 9,000 feet and ended up at like 11,500 or something. And yeah, I just kind of thought like, oh, I don't really need to train for that. Like I'm in good enough shape to where I can just do it. And I did, but it was awful. So I think that's the one that really sticks with me as like probably the most difficult climb I've done to date.
And I think I did see on your resume you were the education chair for the KU Rock Climbing Club.
Yeah.
If I were ever to start climbing rocks, what's rule number one for a beginner? What should I be? What's a good tip for a beginner?
Use your legs. Like
Legs.
so many people think it's so much arms, but really it's like if you're trying to climb and your arms are bent like this the whole time, you're not going to get anywhere. Like we walk around on our legs all day long. You don't pull yourself up by your arms all day. So try to keep your arms straight and then like really push yourself up before you try to pull yourself up, if that makes sense. Like, yeah, really use those big muscles.
Awesome. I know you're headed to Hawaii soon. What's the one photo you would love to get in Hawaii, or maybe what's that one photo you would like to get anywhere? Is there a certain nature photo, animal that you want to take a photo of?
Yes, one of my friends actually got this photo over the summer, and I was so ridiculously jealous of her. She got a whale breaching under a rainbow, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
perfectly in focus. The rainbow was like perfectly saturated. This whale was like perfectly framed underneath it. And I want that so bad. Which unfortunately I checked the weather on Maui right before I came to this interview, and it's supposed to be raining the entire time that I'm there. And Juneau is in the Tongass National Forest, so I live in a rainforest. So when I booked this trip, I was thinking, I need to get out of the rain. And it's actually going to be sunny like all next week while I'm on Maui here in Juneau, and it's going to be pouring rain on Maui every single day. So I don't know how much time I'll be able to spend on a boat, but I want a breaching whale for sure. But a breaching
Sounds like,
whale
yeah,
would be
sounds
epic.
like there might be some potential for a rainbow if it's
Yeah.
raining. How long did your friend have to wait to get that photo? I mean, was she just waiting?
Um,
You know?
so I think this was also her second year at Gastineau. And,
Okay.
really, we're on a boat for about 2.5 hours, at least 3 to 4 days a week. So, like, you're always out there and you're always ready with your camera. This was just kind of, she got really lucky. I mean, even she said it. It was just the perfect conditions, the perfect whale. She happened to be looking in the right spot. And yeah, she got it. And I'm happy for her, but I'm so incredibly jealous too.
So last little fast five. What's been your proudest story that you've ever written, or your proudest photos, or something that you really take a lot of pride in?
Um, Man, that's tricky.
Or maybe a type of story or photo?
Yeah, I would have to go with two, honestly. So the very first article that I ever wrote for Climbing